There you go.
Great. Okay, thanks everyone for the session, for joining the session on burnout. So I'm going to start asking you the definition of burnout. Like when you think about the word burnout, what do you have in mind? Yeah, Pretty, do you want to get started? And then after Pretty, everyone can share something.
Sure. Burnout to me is like more than physical fatigue, it's mental fatigue. So you kind of lose your steam, you become less productive with every passing hour or every passing day. So yeah, that's what burnout is to me.
Just to add to what Preeti mentioned, one is efficiency for me significantly drops when I'm burning out. And the other is motivation, like being self-driven. It gets very challenging when you're tired or exhausted, whether mentally or physically, to keep the fire on or to have that steam. But a good night's sleep or some good rest, taking a step back, has solved it for me. So 2 cents there.
Mariam, you had experienced BDR for a few months before. So is any time that you had experienced burnout, or you want to share your experience?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like making calls all day definitely goes under the burnout. Honestly, what I've done to improve that is to just take breaks, which has really helped with my burnout, because I felt like I was just at one point making those calls straight, and by the end of the day I was tired, and I feel like I just needed to leave my apartment and just go on a walk, because just being in this environment made me feel super depressed. Obviously it's good now, I don't feel that way anymore, but yeah, I definitely did face some burnout before.
Super. So thanks for sharing a few words about it. This month is the month of wellness, and we would like to be open about sharing information about the well-being and burnout. So I'm going to share a presentation about it. Okay, so let me share my screen. Everyone can see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So burnout is an emotional and mental and physical exhaustion caused by excessive stress, as you mentioned. I put some few words about underneath, which is compassion fatigue and cognitive dissonance. So burnout is related to stress and exhaustions, and I will explain later. But I want to tell you in terms of definition, the term compassion fatigue exists, is also related, it's not burnout, but it's related to burnout. It means that sometimes we are, at Kritik, we are all caring people. We love to have care for each other's, and we take tasks from each other's, and we say, hey, I can do it, etc. We support each other's. But sometimes when you support too much your team, then you become fatigued because you take too much on your shoulder, which is not your responsibility, it's the responsibility of your peers. So, and this term is called compassion fatigue. You experience a phenomena of fatigue because you are too compassionate to others. So it's very important to be aware of, because when you take on too much tasks, try to have a mindset of trade-off instead of having too much on your shoulder. When too much is on your shoulder, give back some of your shoulder to someone else, or delegate to another person. And the term cognitive dissonance is also related to burnout. And this one is a mental discomfort that results from the disconnection. There's a lack of connection between your belief, value, and attitude. So let's say I believe something and Pretty believes something else, and we have a conversation, and then we don't have the same value in this conversation, but we don't talk about it. So then we start to have some discomfort about, oh, she doesn't believe me, she doesn't understand me, and then the attitude will result on it. So the lack of communication will make me and Pretty like disconnect from each other, and then she will act on something that I will maybe feel surprised in the future, and I will say, hey, why did you do that? But for her, in her mind, she has a balanced equilibrium between her belief, her value, and her attitude. And then also I have a balance of that. But then when two people try to communicate and then achieve a task together, those are disconnected. And this is a term of cognitive dissonance. And then what it does is it doesn't lead to burnout, but it's related to burnout, because the fact that Pretty feels shocked that her action was not appreciated by me, then she will say, hey, I thought it will be good. So then she will feel demotivated. She will not feel engaged anymore. And then her purpose of working at Kritik will not be, she will not feel engaged. So then this is all the symptom about burnout, but it's not burnout. So I just wanted to define those words. Now let's talk about burnout. Any question about those vocabulary before I move on? No? Okay. Perfect. So the cause of burnout. So there is 3 different buckets of burnout. The first one is work-related, where you feel that you have little or no control on your work. You don't have enough recognition. There's too much expectation from you. Your work is not challenging. So you want to have a right level of engagement at work, enough to feel happy, to feel challenged, but not too much that where you feel that, well, you cannot do it. And then it's good to have pressure, but not high pressure environment. So that's work related. And at Kritik, we use the OKR and KPI in order to ensure that you don't have burnout about it. So, and in fact, I'm very proud to present about this presentation about burnout, because in our OKR, under the value of people, we have an OKR it's about creating a learning environment where we learn, grow, and work to become the better version of ourselves. And to ensure that people feel happy working at Kritik, we would like to occasionally, from time to time, ask you about burnout, as well as how is your health moving along, on Monday, about the gratitude, on Friday about how you accomplished, and today about this special presentation, as well as every stand-up. People should remember that we need to care about our health. In the CS and marketing stand-up, for example, we did today yoga meditation, together. So that was a very, and then it reminded us to be in the right mindset. For this presentation, I will focus on work, but I want to tell you that you need to be aware that burnout can also happen in your private life, outside of work, in 2 reasons. One is your lifestyle, and second is your personality. So in terms of your lifestyle, is maybe your husband, your wife, your parents is asking a lot about you that also will lead you to burnout in some consequence. So you also, the lack of sleep, the lack of care for yourself, the lack of like maybe water, or the lack of food, or the lack of, like Mariam today, she talked about taking break. So it's good to take break, and also in your own lifestyle. So Kritik does not have any power in asking you to take a small break. You need to kind of like have in you the permission, allowing yourself to be healthy, and that leads to a better production anyway. So do not feel bad if you want to take a break between calls, between tasks, if you have to take care of your dog, why not putting the dirty clothes in the washing machine, you know, at 11 a.m., just take a small break. And then in terms of personality is also on your end. So if you have a personality, for example, of being perfectionist, where everything needs to be perfect, and it takes a lot of time, then you will lead to burnout, because we are in a startups and we don't have time to make everything perfect at the first place. So the best way is to do the same thing that the engineering team does, is iterate and improve over time. So iterate, deliver fast with a minimum quality that's acceptable, but always iterate to, in engineering department, we call that refactoring, but in other department, we can call it process of improvement. And then you iterate as a team together. So I just mentioned work related, but your personality is important. So if you are a perfectionist, mention, say, hey, I'm sorry, I am perfectionist. Can you help me? Because I'm having a hard time deliver faster. So you need to help each other. The symptom of burnout, as Priti mentioned, as well as Armin, is physical, emotional, and behavioral. So physical is to feel tired, you have a lot of headache, you don't have appetite, you have problem to sleep. So all of those are physical. Emotional is what Armin said, the lack of like motivation. We had a few co-ops who had their own, it was the first time working in a workplace environment, and they had these self-doubt, which is quite common in the young generation of women. So if you feel that way, communicate to your manager and say, I have self-doubt, but, and then try to open your heart, open your brain. So it's okay to have self-doubt, and just to be transparent, myself, I have it, Mohsen has it, we all have it in any circumstance, especially when it's new and you have never experienced. As soon as you experience one, twice, or third time, then you become more familiar, and now you can just open and you don't have self-doubt, you know. So not knowing is a good thing. So take this self-doubt not at something negative, but something positive that say, I don't know, life is interesting, I'm curious, and I want to talk about it. And then took your courage to express your emotion. Very important. Say, I have doubt, but here is my idea. And then, as you can see, the symptom is to be detached and feeling alone in the workplace, or and you don't feel satisfied about accomplishing something because you are isolated. So don't stay isolated. If you feel that you are afraid or fear, that's the time to say to your manager or to your peers, hey, can you work with me over a Zoom call? Can you do a pair programming together? Or can we call together over a Zoom call? And then the last one, it's about behavioral. So the behavior is how do you react? How do you cope? What's your responsibility? So in this case, always look back to your OKR and KPI and task and priority and Kanban or Jira, and then say, how can I handle my frustration in all of those tasks? If it's all disorganized, then you may want to talk to your manager about, say, hey, I'm not procrastinating, but I am lost. So open up. And then in terms of behavior, the same thing. The food is very important. Having good habit of food, the consumption of alcohol, or being late always in meeting. So maybe for you, you have a problem, but other people might feel discomfort about such a behavior. So always ask your peers what kind of behavior they like, what kind of behavior they don't like, and then try to adapt. Great. And then there's two paths of engagement. So the employee are responsible in terms of behavior, personality, and action, but also the organization, critic, and manager are responsible in terms of supporting and reducing the burnout. So there's two paths of engagement. And then there's 4 steps. 1, define the problem. 2, define objective. And then 3, take action. And 4, track your progress. There's a book on the right side, which is written by Mash Lash, and she developed the best quiz about burnout that we will talk about you later, and then the Kritik activity will be including this test. And then if I can share with you quickly, this test, there's a few tests in the market. Do you see my Notion page? Okay. There's a few burnout tests in the market, like quite a lot. And I studied all of them. And I try to find the one who is the most accurate and most relevant to our situation in the workplace. And there's a high correlation with the one that you will take it. So you can take it seriously, it's reliable. And then her book describes those 6 steps at the bottom, which is the workload, control, reward, community, fairness, and values. So I'm going to go one by one to explain what it is. And the solution is having well-being for all of you at Kritik in the workplace. So here, the workload. So this woman is describing how can you manage your workload at Kritik, and then she wrote down 10 examples about what you can measure. So let's say, Armin, you are evaluating the work of Dirk and Emily, which is the co-op. So you will write down on your own, what do you think what's just right or what's not right for them. So you will say, is the amount of work to complete in a day is good for them, or do you think it's too much or not enough? So you will evaluate that. And Dirk and Emily on their own private time will do the same thing. Then all of you, 3 of you, will have a meeting and say, hey, let's compare our grid. Do you think it's just right or not? If there is a mismatch, then you will write 1. If it's a major mismatch, like a very big discrepancy, then you put 2. The higher the score is, the higher there is you need to work on that particular problem, which is workload. So you will need, for example, for the first line, the work to complete in a day, maybe you need to add more or reduce the amount. It depends of each, or it could be, okay, there is enough task, it should be the right amount, but there's maybe a problem in the fairness of deadline, which is the number 4, where you say, oh, we need to have a Kritik activity, set a deadline, and then everyone will commit, and then everyone agree, and then so on and so forth. It's a dialogue. The same thing happened for the level number 2, which is control. Control is about micromanagement. So if you feel that your manager, myself, or Mohsen, anyone, even your peers, had some kind of control on you, and then you want to kind of voice your opinion, you should voice your opinion. And if you have any problem about it, then look at those lines and then try to work on it with the person that you are concerned with. For example, number 1, the amount of group decision making in my work setting. So when you are in a group, are you able to voice your opinion? Yes or no? If yes, then it's okay. If no, then you need to have a conversation with the person and then find a way to speak up more. The book, I don't have the book, but the book gives you even more detailed information about it. So you just need to read the book, and then it will tell you, hey, try to set up a meeting with a one-on-one, try to talk, and then it's a soft process at the beginning. Then it goes a little bit more structured by saying, speak up yourself, take the courage, and then the last resource, which is talk to the HR department. The HR department will give you resources to speak up if you don't know, or report that to your manager if the manager have not listened to you. Reward is about finance, salary, recognition, achievement, the promotion. The community is about feeling belonging, feeling respected, not feeling discriminated by anyone. feeling welcome. So if you are gay or other word, then you should feel welcome to be here. Or if you come from any spectrum of the LGBT, you should feel welcome. Or other things. If you are from other part of the world, there is no discrimination about color, about any other part of the discrimination. We are a community, and when we are honest, and then we have the value of radical honesty. But if you feel that there is some aspect of it that you don't have the freedom, such as number 3, the freedom to express differences of opinion. When you express your opinion and you feel that it's not respected for some whatever reason, that's okay. You know, we are living with each other and try to learn to coexist and develop this social work environment. So then speak up in a group setting or speak up in a one-on-one, and also speak up to Holly as a HR, and then we can create events to tackle those problems. Fairness, so the same is like having equal treatment among each others. There's a process for discipline. We are open to cultural sensitivity, and then you feel that it's a fair environment and there's no favorism. If you feel there's a favorism, one more time, the employer and employee has some need to talk. The value, which is right now the Kritik value. So at Kritik, the employee has decided the value, but when you join the company, if you feel that there is more other value that needs to be changed, you need to speak up and then say, maybe we could add more value, because as the team is growing, maybe there's ethical conflict or you know, things that could be added. And this one is number 10, the organization contribution to improve the general quality of life. So we care about that. So speak up. And then it can be also something related to the tasks that you are doing. So if you are given a task that's meaningless, then you will lead, is also related to burnout, because you don't feel that it connects to you. So of course, myself, I have tasks that I don't like, but I have tasks that I like. So then I balance out and I feel happy at the end of the day. So, and then try to have a honest relationship with among everyone, which is level number 4. Great. So when you have all of those, then it becomes a profile. So now, if you don't have to do it, but if you are interested in your own department, you can use these framework to determine the profile of each of you, and then that will give you some guidance about what needs to be tackled first. If you are more, you need more care about the workload, about the community, about the value. It depends of like what do you need for yourself, and that all of those area is called the 6 frameworks, 6 area of the frameworks, 6 frameworks of the woman that I just talked before. And then those 6 are here. You know, you remember the 4 steps that I talked to you? Define the problem, set objective, and take action. So for example, the workload, you will say, I don't know, there's too much work assigned to me. Then the objective can be build resiliency, improve the time management, reduce your workload, and then create uninterrupted time. So for example, the dev team had experienced problem in terms of time management. So they had decided a few months ago, I think, that 2 days per week, they will block off their calendar, that they will not have any interaction with the Slack in order to focus on coding. And that had reduced the burnout. They are now more focused on delivering satisfactory job. And that's a good action. So there's a lot of things here. Armin and the team of marketing, what they did is they had a lot of burnout on working, producing a lot of blogs. So right now they are working on finding a freelancer to offload and delegate, which is action. Oops. delegate to freelancer. And I will not go to go over all of them, but I will give you this presentation for you to go in depth. And the book is pretty short, so I summarized the whole book in one slide. But if you want to read the book, you just copy paste the line and then you search for it in the book, Control-C, Control-V, and then you will have right away the target, what you need to read. Now, this is a solution that I want to talk about you about burnout. There is 3 steps. One, you need to recognize the warning sign of burnout, because you need to differentiate if you experience stress, burnout, or different things. So 1, recognize. 2 is to reverse. You are in, when you experience burnout, you are in an unhealthy path. So you need to reverse to become aware and then become more healthy. And then the 3rd one is to build resiliency to stress. So the more you become, you have resiliency, the more you can adapt your physical and emotional health and become stronger to resist to burnout. So the same, the book that you see at the bottom left, she's the same woman. Her name Mashlash. She designed the MBI burnout inventory test that you will do in a Kritik activity. And then here is a 12 step that is determined. So there's 12. And then the first step is when you burn out is like you might feel internally, hey, I just came in this company, I need to prove myself, I am the best person, and I'm going to prove. So that's okay to prove, but not at the cost to feel burnout. You can, I am, for me personally, I am very ambitious. So I love to prove myself, but I don't prove myself to my boss. I don't prove myself to Mosen. I don't prove myself to anyone in my past career for my boss. I always prove myself to myself to become the best version of myself. And then I stopped myself saying, hey, now is enough. I'm going to take a break. Now is enough. I'm going to take a nap. Now I will reward myself because I deserve it. And I never wait for Mosen to reward me. I never wait for any of my past boss. So that's my attitude that I want to share with you about how I experience proving myself. You might experience differently the way that you want, but I'm just sharing one example. You keep working harder and harder to achieve this. So working hard is good, but working smart is better. So you can work hard, but it's not efficient. So maybe a good way to overcome burnout is to say, express to your team, hey, I'm working hard on that one. Is any way I could work smarter to make it less hard on me? So then you communicate to your team. Then the 3rd one, this is the most important part, the 3rd one. If you neglect your own need, that's a disaster. You should never neglect your needs, such as you have to drink water, you have to take a break, you have to have a good sleep. There is things that you should never neglect your health. And no one can decide because no one is in your own shoes. You are the one who is responsible to not neglect your need. The company can care about you by giving you a promotion, do a performance review, giving you some commission and bonuses, vacation, sick days. There's a lot of things the company can do, but there's also a lot of company are not aware of. So you as the employee, please do never ever neglect yourself. And then if you do is just be aware of, like myself, sometimes I neglect myself for exception, but I always remind myself, Carine, now is enough. Just do something else for yourself, care about yourself. So now there is the stage number 4 to 12. Those ones are very important to not do it. Do never ever blame your peers. And if you hear someone blaming you or blaming others, that's a very bad sign toward burnout. So instead, always see the bright side of life. Say if there is something negative, that means there is a problem. So do not try to not judge the person, but more judge about what is this, what is the problem? What is any process that could be in place for this person to not blame that person? And then think about that in terms of like constructive feedback for you and for your team. So, and then of course, if you want to kind of like blame, just, or instead of blaming, just report to the HR team saying, there is a problem here. I want to understand how we can do conflict management. And then you will receive some help from Holly in terms of conflict management. And then the stage number 5 is the value. We all live in community. And when we live in community, we have the same value where we bond with each other. It's like that. But of course, some of the value maybe does not resonate with you. That's fine. But when we say, you may want to consider changing some of your value if you feel that it helps you becoming a better person. Because you are here today because of your parents, because of your school, because of your past coworker, and then you might, let's say, you might have experienced trauma due to bad boss who hate female leader. But here at Kritik, we empower female leader. But in your mind, you may feel some resistance, saying, "Oh, someone had abused me in the past. Maybe I will be abused again." You know, so then the brain, the belief needs to be changed, where you need to value that female can be empowered. And then now you have a new value belief in yourself that will not lead you to burnout. And that's difficult to do, but still open up if you have some, I'm just giving you one example. Stage number 6, 7, and 8 are related to disconnection. So you may have like experience working with coworker who do not want to interact with you. They deny, they don't reply to your message, they withdraw from it. Anytime you talk, they say potentially yes, yes, yes in front of you, but they never act on it. So that one is not good at all. And as you can see, they are related to stage 5, where they don't follow the value of working together. So, and then the last one, stage 9, 10, 11, 12. This is very, very extreme, where you are isolated and you experience depression. Let's say cold caller. If you call the whole day and you cry and you feel depressed about it because you feel like depressed, that's going to lead you to collapse and burnout, and not a good solution. So what I recommend here is like, as Mariam said, she had developed a good ethical relationship with Sam. She always speak up, and then she always tried to find breaks to make her happy. And then she managed to be successful. She was one of the most successful BDR. And this is why she came back with us. So try to speak up and don't stay here. And on the personal note, I just want to share that myself in the past, I had experienced a lot of depression, and it was very dramatic to the sense that I also had some suicidal thoughts. So it's when it happened that way, it's very hard to bring back light to your own life. And then I needed to seek mental health and see psychologists. So in case you experience depression at work or in your private life, do never ever hesitate to seek for mental health support, such as your doctor, because in Canada, especially in Canada, there is a lot of groups available to help you and overcome such a symptom. And now burnout is related to stress, of course, and how to reverse it. First, we need to be aware of it. What's the stress symptom and the burnout characteristics? And as you can see, the first line of the table is over-engagement. You do too much, you stress on yourself. And burnout, disengagement. So disengagement here can be two things. one, you are yourself disengaged, you are not engaged in your task. But the second thing is also you have a lot of tasks, but you do not prioritize the one that make other team members doing their job. So your team members will burn out and feel disengaged because you have not provided the task that they need in order to be successful. So one very classic example is just like the BDR will need to call to provide demo time for the AEs, and the AEs will conduct some demo for, there's a chain of engagement between teams. And then on the left side of you can see the spectrum of burnout. You can see the blue part, the green part, say too little stress. We don't have enough work here. You are laid back, you are inactive, you don't feel motivated. Then the yellow, that's optimum stress, where you have a little bit of stress. It's like, when you do some sport like adrenaline, you feel so motivated and you just like want to push and you say, okay, I'm going to do it. You give you this kind of like sport mindset of like Kobe when he's doing some sport. But you don't go to exhaustion. You just give you a challenge, you try to achieve it, and as soon as you feel fatigue that does not lead to any result, then you take a break, or you change your tasks. You do something else. And then after, the next step is about exhaustion, anxiety, and breakdown, as I mentioned before. So at the bottom, I put some example. It's clickable link. So you have some help to do some self-care, how to help to develop a good lifestyle, help to develop time management, and how to set a priority for yourself, how to reach out to your team. And of course, the last one is a TED. I'm not going to explain today, so please reach out to me, but I had a previous presentation about how to transform the victim mindset into a creative mindset. I will be happy to talk to you about it in a separate time. Lastly is about the resiliency. There is a video here. For the lack of time, I'm not going to play the video, but it will be in the Kritik activity for you to explore. And there is a few links for you to click here. Resiliency is about transforming the stress into resiliency. What it is to adapt and find a way to combat the stress from adversity. So what does that mean is when you have stress from your peers or from yourself, instead of having the mindset in your mind accumulating catastrophe or accumulating negative feeling, then instead what you do is like you try to have a strong mindset of calmness and be aware of what is the root of the stress, and then trying to find a solution that works for you in order to be caring for yourself, having pleasure at work, having pleasure with your peers, and then develop emotional and mental and spiritual good habit. So as example, what I can share here, the example of pleasure could be take yourself out for eating, go to a restaurant, go out to eat outside, see the sun, watch a movie tonight, have a journal, write down what you like. If you have a dog, walk the dog for a few minutes, and then you can go back to work, and then take a break. The mental could be try a new activity, make a list for yourself. What's your wishing list? I just bought recently myself a book that I need to scratch, and then it gives me a list to do for fun. And then I did it with Mohsen, and then it was like such a innovation that I felt mentally stimulated to be more in love, have more romanticism with Mohsen, even though all about me that I am already romantic, but I still find solution elsewhere to stimulate those, because my goal in life is not only work. My goal in life is also having a good relationship with Mohsen to be successful in my private life. So then I do that mentally to boost our relationship, and that's what I care about. In terms of spiritual, we can meditate. Thanks for Steve today, who conducted our meditation, which is great. And then emotional, you know, if you need to feel laugh or crying or expressing your feeling, that's okay. Every emotion is good. And then practice self-compassion, but not being not at the point of being compassionate fatigue. Great. There's a video here, but I'm not going to play. There is more book that I want you to read if you are interested. The first book, Banishing Burnout, was summarized today, so you don't need to. I mean, you can watch it, but you can read it, but you don't need to read actually everything. The second book is called Your Time to Thrive. So for this book, I have a summary here for you in Notion, and there is different topic. One is the topic of sleeping, and the book is asking you question. What are the environmental factors make it harder for you to sleep? And then you know, there's different question that makes you reflect on your sleeping habit. And then you open the toggle. Of course, the book will have more information, but they give you tips. What are the tips to do before going to bed? Do you set up an alarm? At what time do you stop drinking coffee? You know, there is different things that make you think about sleeping habit. And then there's another topic about unplugging for charging, and other topics such as focus, prioritization, inspiration, meaningful, bringing meaning to work, nutrition. There's different topics. So if you are interested, the second book is interesting. The third book is a good one too, but I haven't read it. The one, Atomic Habit, I want to talk more about that. This one is about how to develop well-being habit in order to avoid burnout. And it depends on what you are looking for, but whatever you decide for yourself needs to be for your needs. So as you can see on the left side, there's your needs. Is your needs related to safety, satisfaction, or connection? And then you pick whatever. Let's say for me, I want to say, I want to be satisfied. That's it. So I look satisfied. And then I said, is my well-being is I need to be recognized about my satisfaction. I need to feel more resourcing, or I need to regulate my satisfaction. And I will say, okay, I want to recognize it, you know. So then I say, okay, I need to practice mindfulness. What does that mean? Is like tonight I will sit on the floor and I will meditate and I will focus on being mindful. And it can also be during the day, where during my meeting, I don't feel satisfied, let's say, about not speaking up or speaking up too much to disrupt my peers. Then if I speak too much, I will mute myself and then try to, and then feel, and then breathe and do mindfulness and be aware of the meeting and what's going on during the day. And then if I want to speak more, then I would put a post-it on my laptop and I would say, hey, speak up. And I will not mute myself. And I will use the icon on Zoom and I would say, I would click the hand to speak up, because I'm having a hard time speaking up, but I can still click with my finger saying, hey, I want to speak. And that will be the first step for me to be recognized and then take action on it. Okay, Vlad, this is your turn to explain the Kritik activity. Are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, Carine. Thanks for that wonderful and detailed presentation.
Sorry, Vlad, before you start presenting the Kritik activity, any immediate question from everyone?
Carine, in your research, did you find a correlation between the change of people working from home remotely and burnout? Is there a correlation between those two?
Yes, so there is a lot of research from Gallup, especially. So the fact that people, so there's different type of research for working from home. The one that I found is So you asked me a very specific thing, that's working from home. So let me break down in two parts. The first part that I wanted to mention is when people are highly engaged in a workforce, that 17% of increase of productivity. The fact that you are engaged, 17% will lead to more productivity. 21% will lead to greater profitability for the company and yourself. 41% of reduction in absenteeism. So 41% of people will miss less working because they will feel more healthy. 59% less turnout, and yeah, and then 85%, 85% of the global employee are experiencing burnout, because unfortunately in our society today, the phenomena of burnout is kind of like normalized, where it's expected for people to just work too much. But then they quit and they find a new job. So we want to keep you as much as we can longer here. So we need to work together in order to balance the burnout and be aware of it. And then the question about working from home, there's two numbers, but I don't have in mind. The first one is if the person feel the need, happy working from home, then there's a correlation about increase of productivity by 3 or more. But if the person is need social contact, then there is a need of alternative, because there's increase of productivity, but on the other spectrum there is increase of anxiety. So, but I don't have the number.
Awesome. Well, we do have a very exciting this Kritik activity. I'm actually very, very excited to talk about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Both Carine and I have designed it. So it's going to take 4 different steps to go through it. So we're going to do a little burnout quiz, and Carine mentioned there's the type of quiz. It's based on best practices, and then you're going to essentially share the results of that quiz, and also share a personal experience that you had. So at work, so either your personal experience or a colleague's personal experience that impacted you. And then you're gonna reflect on it and discuss what actionable steps, what advice could you give to somebody else that could help them deal with burnout. So we're gonna kick off the activity tonight. So at midnight, we're gonna kick it off. And actually these dates, we're gonna update them. So we're gonna give you a bit longer to do the activity. So we're gonna kick it off today, but we're gonna give you until next Friday to complete it, which I think is June 2nd, I think. And then the following week, we'll spend a few days on the evaluation phase, and we want to finish off the activity by Monday the following week. So I'll republish the dates, because I know this is not totally accurate, but I'll publish them on Slack. Yeah, we'll kick it off today. So look forward to that, and we'll keep you guys posted, and we'll continue the discussion on this as we move forward.
Me and Vlad are in charge of the Kritik activities, so I will message you, I will Slack you one by one to make sure that you don't miss a Kritik activity, because it's important. Mariam, I don't know if you are here, but you are exempt because you are part-time. It's optional. But all of you, please avoid me to burn out by doing your activity on time. I will be appreciated. Even if you don't have too much time, at least do something quick at first. Submit your creation as soon as you can, and then go back to a later time to edit your creation if you want to add more. And then try to take it seriously, and then read on the Notion page that I shared with you during the creation stage, during the evaluation stage, as well as your own research, because this is important for your well-being at work as well as in your life. And the last slide, Vlad was against my rubrics, but I insisted that I will use my rubrics. There is a pass and failed, which is the last one about the survey. And then there is also category, which is how do you inspire your peers with your story? That I am interested to read about that. Do you inspire your peer in the workplace to avoid burnout? And then when you share your experience about burnout, the same thing. Do you provide details about your past experience to avoid those problems? And does that sharing help your peers to enhance their viewpoints? And then the last one is sharing action to take to reduce burnout. Is the action that you take, that you describe in your creation, that goes above and beyond the reasoning? Do you draw conclusion on the reflection? Because this part of reflection is good for your strategy to overcome burnout as well as your peers. Okay. Thanks for watching the position of a burnout. It was such a pleasure to introduce the topic.
Thank you, Carine.
Thanks for that presentation, Carine. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Enjoy your lunch, everyone. Take care.
Yeah, have a
Have a
great
good
day,
lunch.
guys.